More good news! The shifter mount items are now back from laser cutting and the powder coating. So we have the heated seat version of the top, the non-heated seat version of the top, the replacement shifter mount and the new shifter mount. Everything laid out on the table here is included in your kit, barring one of these plates, because you will either be choosing the heated seat option or the non-heated seat option. So just to go around the table, we have our shifter mount plate, our shifter mount bracket, our window switches spacer, our top plate, sort of nice looking thing to finish it all off, and our bolt kit. You're all probably wondering how this all fits together to make the shifter mount and make it look all beautiful inside your car. And you've come to the right place, because this video is dedicated for that reason. But before we start, this is the shifter that you need to get to make all of this work. This is not included in the kit. There are two types of this shifter. One of them is correct and one of them won't work with this kit. You need to make sure that you have this. I will post the part number in the description so that you can make sure that you get the right one. There is an older version of this shifter as well that looks very, very similar to this, but if you use the part number in the description, then you will get the correct one. One final thing about this shifter is that when you get it, there will be a sort of circular bracket on the back of this. You need to chop that off before trying to fit it to the kit, because it simply won't fit. So this kit is to fit an 8 HP shifter into your Discovery 2, in conjunction with fitting your 8 HP gearbox. Note, this shifter will not work with the original gearbox in the TD5. At this point, I'm assuming that you've already removed your center console, shifter, and the shifter plate in your gear tunnel. If you've done that already, great, keep watching. If not, go ahead and do that before you watch any further. First things first, you need to fasten the shifter bracket down to the plate using the M6x20 cap head bolts and the flange nuts. It's time to fit the shifter into its mount. Make sure you plug the shifter into your loom before placing it in the hole, because you'll struggle once it's bolted down. Using the M6x25 bolts, thread them into the plastic shifter mount until they're tight enough to hold the shifter down. You can then offer it up to the gear tunnel in your car. Remember, this plate is being riveted to the bottom side of your gear tunnel, just as the original plate was. Rivet the plate in using the rivets provided. Some holes in the plate and the gear tunnel may not 100% line up, so you might need to run a 5.5mm drill bit through just to get clearance for some rivet holes. I suggest fitting one rivet at each end of the plate first, just so you can hold it in the hole, and then you can go around and put the rest in. Now you have more hands to work with. I suggest bolting your high-low lever to the plate now, using the original bolts. Once that's tight, you can then poke your gearbox wiring through the 34mm hole in the plate, and seal it with the grommet in your kit. You can then replace any soundproofing that was removed, the air ducts, any brackets that are needed to place the center console back in position. Before placing the center console back in place, there is a small modification which is easier to do on the bench. The window switches will now be bolted to the new top plate and not to the center console itself. So, the small tabs that used to fasten the window switches can now be cut off in any way you see fit. A grinder works, as well as a small sander, anything as long as they end up looking something similar to this in the end. After this is done, the center console can be laid in place in its standard position. We now need to make some small modifications to your window switches panel. The original holes used to fasten this in, that I've circled on screen, need to be drilled out to around 7.5mm, just like this one I prepared earlier. Once these mods are made, you can bolt the panel to your top plate using the M5x20 bolts, the flange nuts and the window switches spacer also provided in the kit. Take time to get the window switches in the correct place and make sure they are usable in each direction before fully tightening up the bolts. These are a tight fit, so it's easy to fit them and have the buttons chafe on the plate or the spacer. You can now set your top plate in position over the gear stick, but before you plug in your windows, we do have two holes to drill at the far end of the plate. Making sure that the plate is sat well around the gear shifter, mark these and drill to the appropriate size. The bolts we're going to be using to fasten it down are 6mm, so a 6.5mm drill bit will do you. You can then fasten the plate down to the gear tunnel using the original bolts. But not before plugging in all your window switches. Do make sure that you've got these plugged into the correct ones before you fasten the top down. It is possible to plug these in the wrong way. the only thing left to do is to clip in your high-low shifter gaiter and be amazed at the new look of your center console.